Hi everyone, we're just going to wait one more minute just to let everybody in, and then I'll introduce Jez, and he can take it away. For anyone who's been on the previous webinars, you'll have already seen these are really high value. But yeah, just give us one more minute just to let everybody join the room.
Yes, please. Hopefully there'll be a few more. It's the end of July. I'm grateful for those of you that have given up a bit of time to come and watch us and hear what we've got to say.
And I'm just getting a little bit of feedback that some people were struggling with the link, so that's why we're holding on a little bit longer.
Okay. Well, it's this awkward pre-presentation sort of gap, which is horrible. It doesn't matter how many of these I present. What do I talk about? The weather? Does anybody
You can
care?
talk about the weather if you like. I think that's the British
Yes,
way, isn't it? The weather.
It is. It is. I know. Or there's probably people in the audience saying, "No, just be quiet. We're going to have to hear you in a minute anyway."
Yeah, we'll just read our emails. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't know, various parts of the country. I mean, I am getting particularly boring, but I know various parts of the country are right at it again, aren't they? With the heat wave again. I'm in out west, and we've actually had rain this morning. Okay, not the answer to everything, but it has been a bit of drizzle for a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's well, to be fair, I think that we've never been more happy about the rain, have we? Like everybody's jumping for joy. I really like the heat, but my wife absolutely hates it. So it's been a point of contention in our house.
Yes, yeah. I like it when I can just roll over into a swimming pool and or grab another alcoholic drink, or any drink really. But yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. I remember us, myself, Matt, you, John, and me were in a meeting a few Thursdays ago, and it was during one of the, and I had a fan in my office that told me the temperature in here was like 33. And I must admit, during that meeting, I was sitting there thinking, I don't care anymore. I really don't. As lovely as you are, and as much as we do good stuff, I don't care anymore. I was cooking. It was horrific. So there you go. Joys of working from home. No air conditioning. See.
That's it. We can't all moan, right? We were the winners in the past, and now we go forward.
Yes.
Right, so we're going to kick off there. I think
Yeah.
this meeting's being recorded, so we will send this out to a number of people who have just contacted me asking for the recording. So we're going to send this out to everybody that comes on. You can obviously share that with any employees that you want to. They're really high value and really helpful. And we do notice that the scores improve on security training as a consequence of these calls. So yeah, enough said about that. For now, I just want to formally introduce Jez onto the call. For those of you who've been on previous calls, you'll know that he comes on to talk a little bit more in more depth to see this from the other side of the coin. And it's really interesting from our side and from businesses side because, you know, ultimately our job is primarily prevention. But when things go wrong, you know, we don't always see behind the mirror or the door, the window, and that's where Jez can talk to, you know, what happens in the event of these breach, you know, and how should we react to it in when the worst happens. So thank you so much for coming on, Jez. You know, it's great value again, and it's so important for our customers. So yeah, thank you. I'm going to try and be quiet as possible, but I will run the Q&A. So if anyone's got any questions, then please just, you know, pop those in the Q&A, and I'll either address those live or I'll address those at the end to Jez, and they'll get answered for you.
Brilliant, Matt. As ever, thank you so much. And folks, I'm really grateful for your time because, you know, we're busy people, and you know, and many of us are sort of webinared to death, really. Jez Rogers, I work for the Southeast Regional Organised Crime Unit. It might be a new concept for some, but we are a specialist part of UK law enforcement. I was a police officer for 30 years. I'm now back as a member of staff. I'm not technical. This is not a technical presentation. I can't see the matrix. I don't speak in binary. This is around common sense, and this is around what we see. I'm eminently grateful to Matt and everyone at INDIGO. I have to be impartial because I'm UK law enforcement. I have to say other MSPs are available, but let's be honest, I'm sure you can read between the lines the simple fact that I'm stood next to them. Hopefully we'll say what needs to be said. Cybersecurity, security by design, all of these words, all these cliches, that's what it's all about. Matt has already mentioned prevention. That's what a good MSP should do. It should help you get into a good place so that the worst can't happen. However, none of this is 100% because nothing ever is. And all you can do is just reduce that level of risk. And part of my role, despite not being that technical, is to be incident response. I've been into all sorts of organizations, big, small, public sector, private sector, charity, when it's gone wrong. And even the big organizations that spend a lot of money and time and effort in this space, it can go wrong. And this really is just to illuminate the things that we see, to hopefully give you even more impetus if it's necessary to really dive into grasping what's available to you, what's offered to you as a customer, potential customer of INDIGO and similar, so that you can make yourself into the best place possible. So you've had a breach. What now? As I said, it happens. However well you take it, it can happen. But we akin cybersecurity and cyber attacks to burglary. Okay, when you left for work this morning, if somebody had to go into work this morning, you would have closed your windows, locked your doors, possibly set an alarm. If you're working in the winter, working at night, your lights would come on. You might have a CCTV system. You might have a big dog, all these sorts of things. But if somebody wants to get in, they will get in. They will overcome all of that. But the more of those things, the more of those layers that you bring in, you're pushing people next door. And that's really ultimately what we're trying to do. Cyber criminal has a look at you and goes, do you know what? I know there's easier fish to fry elsewhere. Because when you've had a breach, if you have a breach, if the worst happens, it is horrible. Systems are down, staff are all over the place, your customers are asking, your stakeholders, your shareholders, your suppliers. It is just a massive, massive puddle of grief, and the ripples just seem to keep going. But it's all right. Even though you've had a breach, not a good place to be, you've got a cyber incident response plan. Have you? And if you have, what's it look like? Oh, trust me, as I said, I've been into lots of organizations and they haven't. You know, it's not really particularly good when, I'm waxing slightly lyrical, the CEO is grabbing a fag packet out of the bin and starts writing a plan. Now, I've seen versions of that, and that's never a good place to be. You have plans for other stuff. This should all be on your risk register, and you've got all the things on your risk register. Building burns down, flooding, pestilence, 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, whatever it is, I would like to think you've got the structure and the maturity to have plans for all of that. This is no different. This is just another flavor of risk that needs to be owned appropriately and dealt with appropriately, because this is what we see when that isn't done. There is no clear ownership. Well, who's making the decisions then? We need to get some comms out to all sorts of people, internally and externally. Well, how's that happening? Who's writing it? Well, they should have already been written, shouldn't they? They should be template. That's all delayed. Who should we report to? Are we regulated? Is there legal responsibilities? So there's confusion over that. And all these critical actions that can mitigate whatever this incident looks like are missed, because now we're under additional pressure that could have been avoided. It's going to be horrible enough as it is. Even if you've got a plan, even if you've got a really good plan, it's going to be horrible. But if you've got none of this, or it's on the back of a fag packet, you're putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. And this is these are basic concepts that should be part of your plan process. Who has the authority to declare it's actually an incident? This should sit with senior members of staff, but your IT provision are your tactical advisors, your technical drivers. They recognise, oh, there's a thing. But you own it. They're telling you there's a problem. You've now got to make that informed decision. So who's got that authority? Who leads and coordinates it? Because it's your business. Again, your MSP in this case, your technical advisors. You own it. You got to drive it. You got to control it. Are we insured? They'll have a view on it. They'll have a very strong view on it. Do you understand what the policy says? What they control and what they don't? What they're prepared to do and what they're prepared not to do? You've got obligations if you've had a data breach around information commissioner. You should be reporting to report fraud, so you get law enforcement involved. What about your customers? What about your supply chain? If you're big enough, what about shareholders? What about other stakeholders? Don't be designing this in the middle of an incident. Trust me, I've seen it. And it's not good. It really isn't good. Well, it's okay. You've got some cyber insurance. That'd be all right. It's like all insurances. It's fine. We're insured. It'd be fine. Well, first of all, have you? Business decision. Not cheap. I'm spending your money. But even if you have, it's another support structure. It's not a substitute for cybersecurity. And they have a lot of conditions in the policy. Do you really understand what your insurance company will do? Just like motor insurance. You start getting behind the headlines of how cheap it is and how their de facto responses are 5 out of 5 over 20 million customers and all the stuff that we see in the adverts. You start drilling down and they're hard-nosed because they don't want to pay out. And it's the same with cyber. Do you really understand what you're covered for and how compliant you have to be? Because they will use any opportunity not to pay you. And if you can't supply the evidence that they want, you're on your own. They will have those, understand what those requirements are. And that's something that you need to share with potentially your tactical advisors. Our insurance company says we should be doing this. Are we doing this? Are we? Can you help us do this? These are the conversations that you need to have. There's simple things about, Windows 10 is all but dead, for instance. And I know this is a very basic example, but there is still extended cover. But have you got the extended cover on Windows 10 if that's what you're using? Because if you haven't, that's probably your insurance policy out the window because you're working on a vulnerable system. This is what you need to understand. These are common. I mean, there will be many more, and we don't have the time for it. But MFA everywhere. That might be a strong condition. Now, that's basic 101 cybersecurity. Are you doing it? I mean, hopefully you are. And please don't be patronized if you are. But this is the kind of stuff. These are the basics that these other organizations will demand. And if you're not doing them, you're on your own. Patch management. What does that look like? What's that service level agreement? Everything will be patched within a fortnight, for instance. Maybe that's a common bit of business there. Is it happening? Can you prove that it's happening? Now, with the dashboards that I'm aware that INDIGO provide, I'm sure you can. But make sure you can. Yes, you are offsetting some of this risk by using an MSP that's you've got a contract with that says we're going to do all of this stuff for you. But it's still your business. You still own this risk. So make sure you understand that these things are done for you. Board assurance matters. Now, this is the corporate drum. This is something that the HM government really wants. So the UK PLC, everyone to be CE or preferably CE plus. Now it can be scoffed at. It's this, it's that. People write off CE as well. You're marking your own homework, and yeah, there is a bit of that. but it shows that you've done something. And some numbers that came to us earlier in the year from the Office of National Statistics is that organisations with CE plus are 90+% less likely to make a claim on cyber insurance. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it, in itself? Now, this isn't bomb-proof. You can go through all of this. It's not bomb-proof. It's not a guarantee. But it is a trajectory. It is to show internally and externally that you're taking it seriously and you're jumping through some hoops and you're doing some good behaviours. You're adopting and showing the world that you do good behaviours. And I understand that this is, part of the package with Indigo. And, I would be as strong as to say, if you're not taking them up on it, you really need to have a good hard look about what you are doing in this space. But can you evidence that compliance if asked? Do you know what questions to ask? What are our policy obligations? What do we do when we find those gaps? What's that structure look like? It's all back to that governance, isn't it? Ownership, risk. When we do find that we've got issues, how's that reported? How strong is that? How do we show that these controls that we're putting into place actually work as we intend them to? An old adage in the world of law enforcement is, if it isn't written down, it hasn't happened. So how do we document this? If the worst happens and we've got insurers and others saying, maybe regulators, depending on what business you're in, saying, well, prove to us then that you've done X, Y, Z, and this is how you do it. Isn't it nice to be able to just give them a nice, a decent package to say, there you go. Have we had independent validation? CE plus, more intrusive. Yes, it's more expensive. It's more expensive because somebody actually comes into your organization and has a look and makes sure that you are compliant. Golden hour, response times. It's the same for most criminality. The golden hour is when many, many crimes are cracked or not. So don't make it worse. Shutting devices down. Hang on a minute, we really need to have an understanding about what's going on at a technical level and secondary, because you want to keep your business going. You're not so worried about evidence necessarily right now, but from a technical point of view. So shutting down isn't necessarily the way forward, is it? Because we might lose everything. Deleting logs. Well, logs are logs. They tell us what's happened. Wiping compromised devices. That's lost everything. Rebuilding immediately. And I know you're driven to, got to get the business back up and running, business continuity, disaster recovery. We've got to keep going. I understand all of that. But these are short-term knee-jerk reactions that in the longer term will bite you. We all read this almost daily in the press about some crass, naive comment from an organization that's been attacked. And you sit there over your cornflakes, screwing your face up, because you know that they've got half the information and they're just tripping out some canned nonsense. Don't be one of those. Isolate devices. Keep them running, but isolate them. Do your staff know how to do that? What is the relationship between technical people and what you tell your staff? The days of, don't touch that snake's wedding behind your machine, IT don't like it. Well, that's long gone. Your staff need to know what a category 6 network cable is and have the confidence that, hang on, if your machine goes wonky, rip it out the back because you've isolated it from the network. Pause. Take advice from people that know. Go back to your plan, because when this plan's been written in a cool head, in a cool situation, you'll consider the right things to do. And there's loads of templates out there. On the NCSC has got some really good templates for free about how to create plans. Preserve evidence. I'm not just talking about from a law enforcement point of view. Technical evidence, so we can understand how they got in, what they did, and how to defend against it in the future. And have a structured response where communications will be part of it at the right time. Take breath. People would rather hear from you 2 or 3 days down the line with something coherent than all the knee-jerk reactions that just make you look like the ones that cause us to wince over our breakfasts. Report fraud even have a live cyber incident response. Okay, so nobody's abseiling out of a Chinook helicopter and coming through your windows. And they will talk to you. Technical people will talk to you. You need to contact report fraud. It's going back to those insurance companies. As great as insurance can be, they have an awful big stake in this. And they will drive an awful lot of what you do, which is why you need to understand that. Not when it happens, but before it happens, so that you can build that into whatever plans you own and you create. They might even dictate some kind of cyber incident response plan to you. Fine, because they own the risk, don't they? If you've got technical support coming, whether it's from your MSP, whether it's from your insurance company, a hybrid, whatever it happens to be, again, rely on their advice, but a good practice will be to keep those devices isolated but powered on, so that somebody's got somewhere to start. And it's, again, in the same vein, it's ultra critical that you try and preserve system logs, whatever your firewall's saying, emails, screenshots, even if you're using cameras, timelines, and any communications, ransomware demands, and the like. This is really critical, whether you get the police involved or not. If you've collected everything and everything's not needed, fine, you can bin it. But you can't recover what's already gone, probably. So again, have that structured, well-written response plan, so that when the pressure is really on, you have got that guide to follow. You're here to try and stop things getting worse, and wait for the people that really know how to respond to this, and that they can guide you and get you back to a better place. Business continuity. That is what this is all about. Business, we want to keep you going. You need to keep going. Got mouths to feed. But it doesn't matter why a system is down. It's the fact that it's down. And it feeds back into that wider ownership of risk and all the plans that you have. Because it doesn't really matter whether you've had a natural disaster or a fire, somebody's got run over in a car park, in the warehouse, whatever it is, the same thing is there. You can read them all. It means the service is unavailable, potentially. So cyber attack, hardware failure, power outage, human error, fire, natural disaster. The result is the same. You're not functioning as you need to. Plan for it. Understand the impact. How do we get around it? How do we keep going? Do that now, not when, oh, we're in the middle of it. Yeah, I've already touched on comms and the disasters that we see. Don't create a second incident. Ensure you can communicate. Ensure you do communicate. How do you communicate? Because you've lost your internal systems, voice over internet protocol, that's gone. Your online phone system, your online phone directory, all of that's gone. How do you communicate with key stakeholders, internally and externally? Do you know who you have to speak to beyond that? Regulators, potentially. The police, potentially. Information commissioner, potentially. How do you do all that? All of these plans need to also be in hard copy in a battle box. Because keeping them online, you haven't got access to that anymore. Be factual, be timely, and avoid speculation. Don't give assurances you don't know them to be true. Again, hold off. Make something a holding pattern until you can really get into the nitty-gritty of it all and understand what people need to be told. And this is what people really worry about, because they hear it daily. No customer data has been stolen. Again, how many times are you wincing over your shreddies because that's what was said last week or last month, and now actually JLR, Co-op, Marks and Spencers, Harrods, etc., etc., etc. No, you lost millions of our details, didn't you? And yet you initially said that you didn't. Don't be that. Don't be part of that. And when it is about rebuilding, don't just hit restore, because restore wasn't good. It will get you to back where you were, and back where you were wasn't good enough. So you need to evolve. And this is where you need technical support. Okay, we understand now. They got in like this. Human error, phishing, whatever. So we need to be able to make sure that that is defended properly next time. We still find that whatever you do, the most common causes are poor credentials, those weak passwords, or through phishing and unpatched vulnerable systems. This is why you need to understand what's going on with these kind of things. Phishing remains the single most successful attack vector. 70 to 8% of all successful cyber attacks start with some form of phishing, scraping or getting staff to give away credentials, or that the credentials themselves are just weak in the first place. Well, that's something that a technical control can sort out. This is what you need. You don't have to understand the ones and zeros behind it, but you have to understand that it's happened. So where do you get help? And you need to know that now when you're creating this plan. Part of that, who do we need to call? Yeah, you can try Ghostbusters, but we're beyond that, aren't we? Is it internal? Is it your MSP? And if it is, whoever you call, are you sure that they are capable, trained, experienced, etc., to give you the support you expect? And that goes back to your contract. When you signed up with these people or when you employed these people, do you understand what they are able to do? Because when it's all gone wrong and you say to them, I need you to do da 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 da, and they go, that's not us. We don't do that. We've never said we've done that or can do that. A bit late, isn't it? So that's back to cyber insurance. Yeah, we got insurance. That's great. Do they do all of this? Some do, some don't. National Cyber Security Centre, really good. Loads of stuff on their website. NCSC do hold a list of cyber incident response providers that are accredited. And we're doing some work now about further accreditation so we can start identifying good organisations. Cyber resilience centres, Southeast Cyber Resilience Centre, they have access to a lot of organisations that can help. And then you've got report fraud, as well as reporting the incident. They can help you with some initial cyber advice. And your police cybercrime units that I represent, we do have forensic capabilities. So if you want an investigation, we can be part of that response. Guys and girls are well used to working with commercial organisations as well. So we can dovetail in with them to start scraping evidence. Cyber incident response life cycle, I'm conscious of the time. It is a bit of a lump, but you can see the highlights there about how this should look and how it evolves. So we've got to get prepare, prevent is the way forward, isn't it? If we can prevent this, then we're in the best place possible. Let's try and push them next door. So we do everything we can, but still the worst can happen. Are we going to pick up on it? Are we? Are we sure? Are you doing it? Are your MSP doing it? Well, if your MSP are doing it, you've shared that responsibility, or you've offset that responsibility. Just be sure that they're doing it. And how are they doing it? And how are they telling you about it? And how's it being contained? Who's going to investigate it? Again, from a police point of view, but from a technical point of view as well. How are we going to get rid of it? How are we going to get rid of it? Do you know? Do they know? How do we recover from it? Because we've still got a business to run. We need to be up and running as soon as possible. What's our downtime? What's our resilience? Again, all business continuity, disaster recovery, all part of your planning. What is that? You know your business. I don't. I'm the greatest will in the world, nor do Indigo. They'll have a damn good idea of it, but they're not you. They can't be subject matter experts in every single one of their customers' business, marketplace, structuring. So that's why you own this. You've got to help them to help you. You've got to tell them. So how do we recover? And then more importantly, how do we get better? How do we all get better so that it definitely doesn't happen again? There's a lot more on that, but yeah, we haven't got the time. So key takeaways, and I don't, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're not splitting the atom. Preparation beats improvisation. Of course it does. When I've gone into those boardrooms or senior leadership rooms and people are literally rocking in chairs and trying to scribble stuff down on bits of paper, it's not a good place to be. They're watching the organization disappear in front of them because they didn't plan. Business continuity isn't a cyber problem. Okay, it's part of your overall running a business, your risk, understanding your business, understanding the impacts, and how you're going to be as resilient as you can be to it all. Cyber is one flavor of that. Preserve evidence, communicate clearly internally. Your staff are probably more impacted by this than you would think. It's gone now from YouTube, but Cleveland and Redcar Public Authority up to North were very candid and released some video interviews from their senior leadership after a massive cyber attack. They were rebuilding 18 months later, and they were fantastic how candid they were. They'd spent a lot of time and money and effort and planning, and they'd done everything right, but their plan wasn't fit for purpose. They needed to evolve it on the hop, but at least they had a structure. And one of the things that they didn't realize was the impact on their staff. Because, I'd been a public authority, they had lots of vulnerable service users and all the rest of it, and staff were in tears because they knew that the public that they were there to support weren't receiving support. Now, it's going to be different probably for you guys, but you get the point. Staff do care on the whole, even the ones that moan all the time. So communicate clearly internally. You're also potentially going to be asking people to do things they've never done before. And okay, that's fine. It's a disaster. We've all got to crack on. But they do need a bit of hand holding. They'll do it. They're willing to do it. But you just got to help them. And insurance isn't a security strategy. Okay. And make sure you comply, because they will pull the rug as soon as they can. And learn from every incident. I have to mention report fraud. I've already done it once. Here they are. It's the rebadged action fraud, and it isn't just rebadged. It's been renamed report fraud. It's a whole new system. It is far better. They triage better and everything else. But there's the number. It's easy to find. You can go to them online, web chat, phone number. But as an organisation, not as an individual, as a citizen, but as an organisation, if it is all going horribly wrong and you don't know who else to ring, you ring them. They will give you some cyber advice there and then. And then those, hopefully, if we piqued your interest, we're going to, in November, is my third scheduled one of these. And we're hopefully going to give you a roadmap to not get in this place at all. Well, as much as we can ever go for that. But we're looking at what Police Cyber Protect is, the free services that the NCSC offer that will complement anything else that you're getting from Indigo. We'll have a little bit more of a look at cyber essentials, cyber resilience centers, free and low cost support, but it's really structuring, helping you, structure that roadmap to make sure you're in as good a place as you can be. And that is me, Jez Rogers, Cyber Protect Officer, Southeast Cybercrime Unit, signing off. Open the floor to questions, please.
Thanks, Jez. That's awesome. So I've had a couple in. Some they're not in this chat, but I've had them through the other one. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I think that it's really important that people understand that we can build protections and we have templates of plans, and we're there to advise and consult as much as humanly possible. That's our job, to be there for you guys. But ultimately, every organization needs to have a plan that's built from within. And like you just said with your cyber response plan there, I think that's such a great point, that even just something as simple as having a list of everybody's mobile numbers, which is outside of your PC environment, where you can actually pick up the phone and build a WhatsApp, in those events, that can be really, really helpful. And just, we've got a little laminator in the office, and we just little laminate little mobile numbers, and people can carry those around with them. And I think just little practical things like that we can do that can build up our cyber response plans. Like a lot of the time, this isn't a get this bit of data and dig down into this and do this complicated thing. It's, have a mechanism for talking to each other. Like, how do what do we do when this happens? We build a WhatsApp, we say hello, we communicate, we call Indigo first, then we call the insurers straight away after, or vice versa. So yeah, thank you so much. I think it cannot be repeated too much how important this stuff is.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything we can do to sort of highlight it is fantastic. So the big question that I had for you, just personally around this is, when do people contact you? Like, I know that you do get involved in these response plans, and you have hands-on in these environments, and you do sort of assist. And I know that would it go through these guys first, and you would report it like through that mechanism you showed earlier on, and they would guide it into you? Would that be the way that would happen?
We get intel fed to us from lots of different places. There's a lot of international law enforcement work done covertly done in the cyberspace, which gives and other methods as well. And we get a lot of intel feeds for that. I've spent a fair amount of my time ringing or knocking on the door of an organization that is probably completely unaware and saying, we think you're breached, or we've got intelligence to suggest that you've been breached, you've got hostile actors on your network, your information's all over the dark web, you're on a data leak site by this organized crime group. And we walk in and either physically or over the phone and say, over to you, we're letting you have the information, but it's now for you to do what you need to do to put some veracity into that, which goes back to all of the logs, all the technical stuff that people can do. And then it's, oh yeah, we've now found, oh yeah, the hostile actors have been on our network for 3 months. That happens. Now, should they have been found? Could they have been found? Okay, that starts getting very technical and way above my level of competence. But we know hostile actors are very good at getting into networks and doing their recon covertly and pulling the trigger on your network when they think it's the best time for whatever reason. And yeah, we might see that because of other work that's going on. And so the first you may know about it is somebody like me saying, we've got this information, you're not in a good place, this is what you need to do. And then again, it's your business. I am giving you information to make an informed decision about what you need to do as an entity.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we go with it, really, Matt.
Brilliant. Okay. And then just on one of your points earlier on, you spoke about the cyber response plan. I know that you had some links to templates on one of our previous webinars. Would we be able to share those again to the customers on the call?
Yeah, please do. I mean, So the National Cybersecurity Centre, from our point of view, is the country's technical leads, and they have a lot of really good free stuff on there that complements what you do, Matt. And one of the things that they've got is templates for boards and for senior leaders around a lot of stuff, and a basic cyber response plan, cyber incident response plan is one of those. You might aspire to it. You might be beyond it, but it's a good place to start because it starts ticking all of those basic boxes, and then you can start building in what is appropriate for you as an organization.
Brilliant. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And then just like last question then, if you've got a bit of a moment for it, that's all.
I have. People are still here.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think you answered this earlier, but if somebody could just do one thing right now to just not put themselves in that position, like what would you recommend doing just to sort of try and mitigate from what you've seen, from the breaches you've seen? If there was one call to action that you would encourage today, what would it be?
It's just that plan. It is starting. I mean, the horse is out of the stable and disappeared over the horizon. We should have all been doing this 40 years ago when networks started going in, but we didn't. But it is security by design. So it's the earliest possible opportunity. Sit down with the right people at the right time, which is now, and create that plan. And if at all possible, and it isn't easy, is practice it. I know that's difficult, because how do you know if it works? And that's it, really. Yeah.
Great.
Plan.
Thanks, Jez. It's amazing, and thanks everyone for coming on. I know that we've overrun slightly.
Sorry,
we started a little late, so apologies. Well, no, we started late as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming on. It's been brilliant. What we're going to do now is we're going to send out some links to anybody else that was on, and anybody that registered. Obviously, a lot of people couldn't make it today that were registered, so we'll make sure they all get the links as well. This video then will be posted on our YouTube channel, and we can send that link to the post into the follow-up email, so this can be circulated for all employees or anybody that you think that needs to see it, particularly if you see people with low scores. Like, there's a new portal arriving for everyone about scoring, so as you see that, if you see any employees that have particularly low scores, this is it's good to sort of push webinars across to them about responding and bringing it to the front of mind so they don't click on those links that are going to endanger them. So thank you very much for coming on, Jez. It's been a pleasure as always, and look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in the future.
Yes, absolutely. November. Yes.
November. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jez.
You all right, John?
Yeah, good. Thank you, man. That was great.
Bit light on numbers, but hopefully we'll get some videos. So